All right. Huh. Excuse me. Okay. Here come the Lions. Rolling in. So who do we got in the house? Oh, and I met a really nice lady today. Yeah, she watches me on YouTube. Uh, and that's the easiest one for her to find and get to. So that's kind of cool. All right. So who do we got? We got Mr. Larry Bennett in the house. Woohoo! All the way from John Day. Yep. I'm still gonna get out there, guys. Let's see. Hey, Carol, Pat, Miss Sherry, of course. Very good. Okay, we're gonna kind of dive right into things as people are showing up. So bear with me. So welcome everyone to the Lion's Den, where people seek the meat of truth. I'm your fun-loving Cajun host and write-in candidate for Oregon Governor Paul Romero. As we enter the final stretch for the battle for Oregon, please do your part and spread the word. No, it's not been easy, but our efforts are necessary. And why do we do this? Love. Love is quantifiable. Whether you understand it or not, love is the only variable in our lives that transcends all dimensions, including time and space. It is a connection we really can't deny, even if we don't understand it. When you think of a grandparent that you were connected to that is gone, I know that you get glassy eyed, perhaps even shed a tear because of the love you have for them still. But what about a movie, be it fiction, based on real events, or adjusted with poetic license? How many times has a movie brought you to tears? Why did that happen? It's what I call transcendent love, the ability to relate on a level we don't fully understand, but we don't really need to. It's just about feeling. Now, what about a book? Did I shed a tear or two when I read Old Yeller? Yes, and anyone who says they didn't either didn't read the book, see the movie, or is lying. The greatest thing that can connect us all is love. Granted, it's hard to love some people, but we can still have causes that we love to the point of getting along for the common good. And I think for Oregon needs a whole lot more love. All right. So next thing I'm going to talk about is something I learned a long time ago in Central Oregon, and that's about the predictors of our winter. And many of you know what I'm talking about, and that would be the fuzzy woolly bear. No, it is not a bear, but a small caterpillar. And they also call it just a woolly bear, but we always called it a fuzzy woolly bear. And normally, when you find one of these caterpillars crossing the road or something, if it's solid black, yeah, we're gonna have a bad winter. Okay, so prepare for that. So then, if you see like the middle section, maybe roughly about a third of the middle is kind of a brownish or orange color. So it's black on 2/3 on either end, orange in the middle. That's a normal moderate winter. That's one that we're familiar with. And if you have one that is just black on the very ends, and half of it's brown orange, I've seen them as brown, kind of brownish color or off orange. But if the half of the caterpillar is the brown orange color, and just the very quarter ends are black, that's a mild winter. And basically, the more brown or orange it is, the more mild the winter. So if you find one that literally has no black on it at all, hey, it's going to be a really, really mild winter. Now, it's also kind of interesting, and I've not seen this myself, but when you have a fuzzy woolly bear that's really just black on just the tip on one end and maybe about a third on the other end, so that the brownish orange part is a little bit longer than either, but there's one that's really short, the black end. That means that the winter is going to begin harsh, that's from the head, and ends mild, the small black part. But it could be the other way around, where the winter begins mild but ends really harshly. That would have been our Snowmageddon event. Although, to be honest, leading up to that event, I didn't see any fuzzy woolly bears at all. Nor had I heard anybody say that they'd seen them themselves. But it's really crazy that a little caterpillar can actually predict our weather for the winter. So, and just to let you know, the fuzzy woolly bear that's been spotted, I believe it was spotted in the Ochocos, was 1/3 black on each end, and the third middle was the brownish orange color. So we're looking at a moderate, average, normal winter. So that's the prognosticator for our winter weather. And now you know how to operate a fuzzy woolly bear. So apparently, in national news, President Trump has been put on quadruple secret probation by the January 6th committee that is vice chaired by Liz Lizard Cheney. Apparently, they really enjoy being the butt of the joke and always at their own expense. Such stupidity on that committee is on full display and is truly remarkable. Every one of those people should be ashamed of themselves. And they're just either not smart enough to realize it or are just so dysfunctional as human beings that, well, pray to God they don't get reelected. Now, we've talked about the perennial prophets of doom. Well, what does that mean? Well, remember Al Gore and the ozone layer over America is widening. No, that was never true. He lied. The ozone layer at our poles does ebb and flow. And ever since we put satellites up there to watch this, to monitor the ozone layer, the idea was that the ozone layer would totally dissipate over the whole globe due to hydrofluorocarbons, hairspray type stuff, and styrofoam cups. And once this happened, that eventually we would lose our atmosphere and we would all die. That'd be pretty gruesome, right? Well, all the things he was claiming back then, and by the way, he wasn't the only one. There were people before him. They had acid rain. Oh, we're all going to die because of acid rain. Yeah, that's it. Within 10 years, the ozone layer is going to be all gone. We're all going to die. Oh, no, we have global warming. In 10 years, we're all going to die. Yes, we've heard this nonstop from these perennial prophets of doom. They continually prophesize gloom and doom with 10-year, sometimes 12-year increments, and they have been wrong every single time. Nothing they've ever claimed has ever come to pass. Not a single thing. However, they have managed to waste a lot of taxpayer money. That kind of puts things in perspective now, doesn't it? So when you talk to people and they're telling you about climate change and, oh, we must do these 17 sustainable development deals with the UN Agenda 2030 so that we can make sure we protect everybody and save them all. And then also we're going to add a little side order of one world government while you're not looking. Ladies and gentlemen, do not fall for this stuff. You gotta draw that line. You gotta understand it, know it, and stick to it. Because fundamentally, it all violates your freedom, your liberty, and your sovereignty. So, something I wanted to share with you. We like to say that perspective matters, right? And it does. And it can matter to the point of either our success or failure. If we lie to ourselves and form a false perspective, then generally speaking, we will fail. And there's a certain element of optimism that can be manifest that actually helps achieve certain things. And it's like, for me, running for governor, especially in the certain current conditions, listen, it's not easy, but it's possible. And will I quit or give up? No, I won't. Doesn't matter who insists that I do. And I'm continually amazed at the number of people that step up and insist, oh, you got to quit, you got to quit, you got to quit. See, those people, number one, have no business giving advice. Number two, does that mean they have quit already? And the one thing I won't do is take any kind of advice from people who've already, were fundamentally quitters. We can't afford that. And we need to teach these younger generations to not give up, to step up, to learn all they can, to navigate this stuff with the truth and with a proper educated perspective. Now, as we build our perspective, it affects all that we are. And then it becomes journey versus adventure. Now, we each have our own journey as our individual life experiences, which often intersects with the journeys of others for a time, only to return to our journey path for one. But adventures are different. Those are what we share, generally speaking, and often intentionally. We become one mind. We find like-minded people, and then we spend time with them on a project, whether that's climbing Mount Everest or working on a campaign, right? So, but make no mistake, as a whole, Oregon and Oregonians are in an adventure, okay? And the sooner we all realize this, then our collective perspectives can be used to accomplish great things that will benefit all Oregonians. Such is our countdown to the general election. Now, I was asked a question today. I was actually at the Crossfire Church this morning, and they had a really nice kind of a candidate forum there, and I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. But there's a question posed to me at the very end, and it was basically, what makes you think that you can win and that people aren't just going to give up because you're just a write-in candidate? It's a really good and honest question. And my answer was very simply this: anytime you as a voter chooses to vote because of something outside of you, well, others are worried about splitting the vote. Oh, others said we need to go ahead and go with this person because they're the lesser of the three evils and they have the most money. So there's all these excuses that people build up to change where they actually stand. Do you really? And I was still stunned by how many people had no idea what the Oregon-China Council was. They didn't even know it existed. And when they found out what it was and what it represents, well, people were not too happy. They were really not happy when they found out who all supports it in our legislature, who all in our governor candidates support it. Yeah, big eye opener for a number of people. So, very simply, it's like this, guys. If you don't vote for the person that you want to be in any given office, you vote for the people not because of what they aren't. You vote for people because of what they are. If they really represent what you want in a candidate, then that's why you're supposed to vote for them. As soon as you start bringing in excuses why not to go with who you feel is the right person, well, that person doesn't have $5 million in the bank. That's a really bad reason to change your vote. You're letting a bunch of other people who put money into a candidacy, you're letting them choose your candidate. That's not right. Or, well, it's always just the Republican or the Democrat, and I'm never going to vote Democrat. I'm going to only vote Republican. Once again, you've allowed somebody else to make your decision for you. See, the whole point of being able to vote in this country is that you make your decision for yourself. Hopefully, you base that from a position of knowledge and understanding, and not from a position of choosing between the lesser of evils, and in part, being left with a choice of lesser of evils. That's a problem, because that basically means that the people responsible for getting you good candidates really haven't taken the time to do that. And when I talk to anybody that's thinking about becoming a candidate, hey, I run them through the mill. I show them exactly, give them insight. I'll sit there and do a little private one-on-one interview, and I'll ask them every tough question. And what happens in those interviews stays strictly between me and that person. And at the end of that interview, I let them know, listen, I think, yes, you can deal with this stuff and you can overcome this and get elected. Or I'm going to say, you know what? I think I'm going to recommend you just support and help another candidate. You have good ideas, you have good positions, but the fact is there are things in your history maybe that other people just are not going to accept. And I'm always amazed at some of the candidates that we have that have been in office for some time, what they've been guilty of, and yet people ignore these fundamental things. To me, there's certain things that can't just be overlooked in a candidate. If you had a candidate that was involved in human and child trafficking, why is that person even running for office, right? If you had a person that has an extensive criminal record for, I don't know, something pretty severe, aggravated assaults, multiple, excessive DUIs, these are very much irresponsible parts to their life equation. Now, it's not to say people can't be redeemed and can't get over this and get past it. However, there comes a point when, and this is what I have to tell them, say, listen, The people that support you, that know your history and everything, they may support you. And if there's enough of those votes, you can win. However, your opposition is going to dig up everything they possibly can on you. And if they can't find anything, they're going to make it up, which has been my experience. So there's nothing on me, so they tried to make up everything. Well, that's all fallen very flat. And there's still an individual out there, Edward Renfro. He's running for House District 2. Doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell. But he's constantly out there trying to reiterate that, oh, Paul Romero's under investigation. Yeah, right. On a bunch of false claims he made, Secretary of State's office, with no evidence to support anything he said. And I've actually asked for presentation of the evidence presented against me in regard to his charges. There's nothing. It doesn't exist. So, Eddie, sit down. Shut up. Nobody wants to hear anything out of you. You have nothing to offer this state at this point, much less House District 2. And to be quite honest, Virgil Osborne, there's a guy that House District 2 knows and understands. And yes, I'll be casting my vote for Virgil Osborne. That's a stand-up guy who's known in this community. And yeah. So now I'm going to get into something, Senate Bill 762. And the question was, where do I stand on this bill? And it's actually a good question, but it's an easy answer. The first, number one thing is, if Kate Brown supported and signed it, that pretty much tells you all you need to know. You don't even need to know what the bill's about. Number two, it basically gives more money to more agencies run by people that we didn't elect. Okay? And it's fundamentally tied to the climate agenda and elements that support spending lots and lots of money to accomplish lots and lots of nothing. They're taking away access to public lands under the guise of protecting it. They're kicking us off, guys. They're blocking roads. They're putting up gates, fences, what have you. And it's all in the name of protecting the land. And then on top of that, to be honest, like the legislators, they aren't smart enough. They're not knowledgeable enough in this area to generate fire risk management maps. You heard about the last one they tried to push on us. Boy, that met with huge opposition. And that's further proof that, guess what, guys? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And you guys squeaked awesomely. And guess what? They pretty much killed that whole thing. At least the fire risk management, although I'm still sure they're trying to spend money. You know, we need old school elements to work this out. Old school elements know exactly how to set up these fire risk management maps. We're going to pull them out of retirement because the people we have now, not qualified. Oregon State University, I think it's Oregon State, or U of O, wherever it's being done. What are their qualifications? Did you elect those people? No, I didn't. So there's an issue there. So, you know, old school forest management worked, and it didn't cost very much. And number 7, and this is just another way to infringe on the private property rights of landowners, especially rural Oregon. They're trying to remove rural land ownership. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but there's the Ron Wyden's River Democracy Act. Oh, gosh. This is an absolute abortion. And what he has proposed is that 1/2 mile on both sides of a given body of water, whether it's a river, a creek, a stream pond, or a ditch that may get some water buildup in it from a rainstorm. Oh, yeah. 1/2 mile on either side. Nobody can do nothing. What happens if that's a bunch of your land? Maybe you're a gold miner. Yeah, this presents a bit of a problem. We're talking about 640 acres per river mile in almost every waterway in Southwest Oregon. That call it now a no man's land, right? And the stated goal of most of the wildlands groups is to save rural Oregon for nature. People only belong in cities, you know. No. See, I like being out in nature. And outside, I love our home and where we live and our views and our sunsets. So except for the nonprofits who will live there to manage the lands and the megacorp farms and the uber rich conservators. Those are the people going to get to enjoy nature, but they don't want us there. They're making it as unappealing as they possibly can. They're shutting us out. They're shutting us down. And until we get serious about who we put in office, this is never going to get fixed. And with Christine Drazan, I know she's a Republican and she looks like the best shot right now. But the fact is this: number one, my name is never mentioned in any of their polls. So they don't ask people about me. They're not even putting the poll about if there's somebody else they would consider voting for. So there's another issue. But these are just some of the things that we're running into. So basically, no, definitely didn't support that ballot measure, or I should say that Senate Bill 762, and with good reasons. And those that do support it, well, don't elect those people. Seek out, find out what they support. Now, I'd received a call from a supporter, and they filled me in on the Constitution Party of Oregon's input to the General Election Voters Guide they just came out with, right? And I must admit, I laughed out loud. More libel from the inner cancer of the Constitution Party of Oregon, Jack Allen Brown Jr. himself. That's right. I recently received the General Election Voters Guide where the unelected chair of the Constitution Party of Oregon, Jack Allen Brown Jr., made a statement regarding the party and cast the full blame for its implosion on me. Of course, he didn't mention that he and other party leaders, Robert Bob Ekstrom and Roger Shipman, have been violating Oregon law for the better part of 20 years and were found guilty of their May 2022 to July 2022 shenanigans, which translates to election fraud and excluding party members from participating in nomination conventions, including the nominating of party officers. So mind you, they have prevented party members from voting for officers, bylaws, and nominees through the primary process for over 20 years. This is a fundamental violation of members' civil rights, and they call themselves the Constitution Party of Oregon. It's more like the anti-Constitution Party of Oregon. Now, these three ridiculous men don't take credit for their failed leadership or for all the laws they violated. Instead, they blame me. Why? Because I put the spotlight on them. I've not made them famous. I've made them infamous. Now, as if I was in control of their stupidity, right? They make statements that they paid the fines for their violations, the ones just for the few months. And like somehow that absolves them of their illegal actions. Now, I suppose they could blame Laura Ma Barker, who manipulated them into their own destruction. But it still falls to their poor judgment and egocentrism. Those who have power seldom wish to release it, especially Jack Brown. Now, granted, it's not a lot of power, but to these small men, it's everything. They accomplish nothing, they build nothing, and fundamentally, they are nothing. The last candidate before me that was a legitimate, good candidate with real substance was Mary Starrett some 15 years ago. Yeah, she figured out what they were about. Now, they didn't do squat for her. They aren't leaders, and they aren't really duly elected officers of the party either. They have basically voted themselves in every couple of years while members aren't even aware of the meetings where they elect themselves. Now, as recently as August 21st, 2022, Jack, Bob, and Roger were recalled by members of the Constitution Party of Oregon, and new officers were elected. Interestingly, the Secretary of State Elections Division, Alma Whalen, and Lydia Pluchki would not acknowledge or honor the members-called organizational meeting results, meeting minutes, approved bylaws, new officers, or nominees for the general election. Why? The Secretary of State really doesn't have the authority to deny those submissions, but they did anyway, all to literally keep me off the ballot. Now, we even provided video of the members' meeting and a list of the credentialed voters who were present and voted. So what is a concerned constitutionalist to do? Simply look for a party that actually supports constitutional rights. Right now, in Oregon, there aren't any. Even the libertarian and independent parties are having similar power control issues. So the minor parties have all become controlled opposition to undermine other potential candidates in order to make way for the uniparty, which consists of Republicans and Democrats. See, no matter what, they don't want to lose power at all. They can't afford it. As soon as the third party starts to pop its head up and starts to win, everything changes. You're going to have the uniparty, which is Republican and Democrat, and then the new party, maybe the We the People party. So the two-party system is fully compromised. And at least the leadership, they're the ones that are really fundamentally compromised. The candidates, they keep shoving down our throats, fully compromised. So in the meantime, members are left in the dark, trying to figure it all out, and Democrats conveniently jump to Republican and vice versa when it's convenient. So party members, the Constitution Party members remain very frustrated, have been exiting the Constitution Party of Oregon in droves. All the gains in membership because of my entry into the Constitution Party of Oregon are all but gone, while other longstanding and neglected members exit to the non-affiliated roles. So more and more people are still leaving the Constitution Party of Oregon. My suspicion is within the next 2 years, Constitution Party of Oregon will only exist with the handful of leaders, which won't be enough to perpetuate the party in the future. So how do they fix themselves? Well, number one, they'd have to abide by the Constitution. I know. You shouldn't have to tell the Constitution Party leadership this at all, but we do. They needed to change to represent the Constitution. But Jack, Bob, and Roger let their egos get in the way as they exercised tyrannical control, strangled the life out of the party. The Constitution Party of Oregon is dead, and its leaders are a bunch of ridiculous men who really believe they are in power to tell you what to do. Just read Jack Brown's essay on Why I Can Tell You What to Do. They obviously have no idea what the Constitution says, much less means, nor do they intend to correct themselves. And a side note, Laura Ma Barker also left the Constitution Party of Oregon. And although she recruited Donna Smith to take the CPO governor's nominee spot, she stated publicly, once she figured out who she really was, that she would vote for me before voting for Donna Smith. Well, wonders never cease. My advice to anyone out there, avoid Laura Ma Barker. She's a good for nothing, except taking good options away from Oregon voters. You also have her to thank for 4 good candidates from being on the general ballot. Myself for governor, Michael Stetler for U.S. Senate, Thomas Zoll for Congressional District 4, and Caleb Abel for House District 1. Now, her and her minions like Angie Vanden Boss, Angela Height Miyake, Freedom Fighter, whatever name she's going by today, Chris Convict Tough, who goes by Chris Hemswho, Kay Davis, and others. These are the people you can thank for having fostered this environment that's actually interfered with you as a voter from having actual choices on the ballot. So remember that. Credit where credit is due, be it good, bad, or indifferent. These people, unfortunately, deserve bad credit. And the simple fact is they've cheated Oregonians as a whole out of this opportunity. Not just me as a candidate, but really for the people that could have voted for this candidate by just filling out a simple oval on the ballot. So they made it tougher, but not impossible. So, as I mentioned earlier before, I did have the opportunity to speak with the good people of Crossfire Church in Springfield, Oregon this morning. And I must admit, this being their first attempt at such a format, it went very well. They did a really good job. And Alex Carlatos for CD4 was there, along with Libertarian Levi Leatherberry. He's actually an Oregon farmer, and they're both for CD4. There's also newly elected Lane County Commissioner David Lovell, and then myself. Now, Commissioner David Lovell, he'll go into office officially January 2nd. He's already been elected. And the nice thing, and it was music to my ears, was we were talking about what county commissioners can do for their county, truly. And we got a whole lot to teach him and tell him, but he's excited. As you know, there's a process called the Apache County Resolution. And through this process, with two county commissioners for a given county, they can go through this process and recover the control of the government-controlled lands in their county. That's like 60% plus of their county, their timber industry, all this stuff. And they recognize that their Title I, II, III funds are not cutting the mustard, right? Not to mention, a lot of them are being misappropriated, sent into the general fund, and then kicked back to the county. And that's not how you do business. Okay, it's actually illegal what they're doing. But a lot of them don't even realize it because the state, Secretary of State, and everybody, they allow them to do it. So anyway, I told him about the Apache County resolution, that I put him in contact with the right persons that can help guide him and his fellow commissioner that's fully engaged for this. They're like, yes, we need that. Has that been around for a while? Only for a long time. And I told him how many commissioners in the state of Oregon have been told about this, and yet none of them have taken action, which tells you that they are complicit in that good old boys club. And I warned him about that. I said, they're going to try to push you into the good old boys club. Brace yourself, prepare for it, and stand your ground. Don't be compromised. And so, like I said, it was just a great day. I'm really happy to have met him and these other gentlemen. And I got to admit, I'm going to say something nice about Alex Skarlatos. He's come a long way. This young man and whoever's around him has obviously taken to heart the fact that he couldn't speak about any given topic with any real academia or whatever. But apparently, no, he actually has been studying, and he's able to roll certain things off the tongue about things that he'll be more involved in should he win Congressional District 4. And that's kind of a reassuring thing. I still think he needs a lot more life experience before stepping into Congress. That's just a fundamental. But and then I also met Levi Leatherberry. He's a libertarian for CD4. And I got to admit, he's got a good beat on things. He really does. So, it's reassuring when you meet other candidates that actually know what they're talking about and can verbalize it. And the only question that remains is really, are they truly trustworthy? Are they truly genuine? And a lot of times, for most of us, we can't really see or tell that until we meet them. We see them face to face, eye to eye. But otherwise, like I said, it was a great day, and it was great seeing these people, talking with them. And of course, Mr. Aaron, he's the pastor there, doing a great job. Met a number of the members. Wow, just an incredible group of people, really. And I look forward to going back. So it's something I talked about while I was there was how it's important for all of us to step into the arena. We all need to be there. We don't need to be cold, timid souls that know neither victory nor defeat. You got to step in. You have to get on the playing field. You got to get off the bench and get involved, whether you're supporting candidates or helping out with mailers or whatever it is you're going to do, whatever the capacity is that you have, that you're most comfortable with or most skilled at. Some may actually be candidates. Others can be managers or coordinate interviews, all kinds of things. Do what you're good at. Step in. Offer that. You don't have to be the candidate, but if at all possible, we got to find candidates, because right now we're going to be spending the next year plus nailing down candidates for every legislative race we're going to have in 2 years. Every single one. And we all need to get ready for that. Here's the good news. My contract with Oregon stands as is for that future. And any candidate worth their salt, if they're willing to stand by that contract with Oregon, those are the things that you would be working on in our legislature to make happen. The hope is that we actually have a governor that makes that easy. Because without that, well, it creates a little problem. But the other thing you got to do when you're a legislator is that you have to bring people's attention to what's going on. However you can do that. Media, newsletters, whatever. I'm going to continue to do the video blogs, because here's the thing. No matter what happens, sharing the truth with you is important. And at some point, I may have all the resources I really need to kick that off in big, high gear. But until then, we're going to keep moving forward as we are. And we get a lot of recommendations, suggestions from a lot of people, and we work on that as we go through this stuff. Yeah, it's going to be pretty important. So one last thing I'm going to touch on before I get back to comments and everything is that they were talking about San Diego County They have like Dominion voting systems, and he used ballot marking devices. Now, every in-person ballot, when you walk in and drop it off at the county clerk's office, that goes into a secure box, and then it's tabulated by someone else later. Now, tabulation happens whether you vote in person or by mail. Now, the advantage of in-person versus by mail is it removes several hands from having possession of your ballot. Now, it doesn't change the ballot tallying device. Bit of an issue. But fundamentally, whether you're in California or Oregon or Washington, wherever, take your vote by mail ballot unopened, if possible, with you. So you haven't even opened it. Walk into the polling center or the ROV office, the county clerk's office, and tell them you are there to vote in person. And there is no reason to even show them you have your vote by mail ballot unless one thing occurs. You were told you have already voted. Here's my ballot, and you're telling me I have already voted. That is not possible. See, here's my ballot. How is it that I've already voted? Because, see, when they're stealing votes and ballots, they got to do it ahead of the voting day, right? Because if they don't, it looks even sketchier. It's kind of like when Biden's numbers went from here to choop, and then continued on. That's the same deal here. So that's why we want to do that. So show them your unopened ballot. Let them know you have not voted yet. Check, see if they got you as voted. Tell them you want a non-provisional ballot to cast your vote with. Well, I don't think you necessarily have to do that because, see, I think you can be there right in that moment and do your ballot and then turn that in. And also you're going to want to ask them to let them know, because if your ballot has already been submitted, they've already received a ballot for you, well, obviously that's fraudulent. And when that happens, so your identity has been stolen, fraud has been committed, and you have to demand the following: that they make a formal report be made that shows was your fraudulent ballot cast in person or by mail? What date and time was your ballot cast or received? If an in-person, what voting center was the ballot cast at? Where did it get picked up? If vote by mail, what precinct did your ballot get returned from? And super important, if vote by mail, demand the report include an image or copy of the envelope your ballot was supposedly sent with, showing your signature. Okay? Guys, you just got to step it up a little bit. Challenge them. Be bold. Get off the bench. Protect your voting rights. So you tell them, even on election day, you're going to stand and wait there as long as it takes to get the completed report, and you are not leaving until you do. May this inconvenience us? Yes. But at least you will have firsthand experience to share with others about how votes are being stolen. And, we still have the issue with dead people voting. A gentleman I spoke with today told me that 2 years ago, his dead wife voted. And he doesn't know how that happened because he didn't submit her ballot. And the last thing is, if they will not fill out a report while you are waiting, your only other option is to basically call the sheriff and tell them that identity theft and fraud has occurred and you want a report filed. Do not take no for an answer. You have every right to demand that, and they have every responsibility to act on it. So save your ballots to the last day. Turn them in person. Take the time to go check the county clerk even before the final day. Go see if your ballot's been received yet. They go, oh, yep, we got your ballot already. And you go, well, that's odd. Why is the ballot that I got in the mail in my hand, and yet you're telling me you've received it already? That's just not possible. You got to stick to your guns on this, people. We all have to be the watchdog here. So there you go. There you have it. All right, now let's get back here to some commentary. And who all we got? We got Mr. Richard, and Loma's in the house. She's not in Facebook jail. Congratulations. Shauna's in the house. Hey, Shauna, been a long time no see. Jolene, hey. And we got Natalia. Hey, good to see you. Mr. James, Mr. Kimball's in the house. Miss Jennifer out of Tillamook is here. Dwayna, hey, there you are. And we got Sherry Roberts, of course. Ozone layer, talking about the firmament. The ozone layer, you don't even hear about it anymore. You know what they learned with the satellites? The ozone at the top, the polar caps, basically through a given year, it closes up and then it opens up. And then it closes up and then it opens up. Normal cycle of the planet. So they were saying, oh, we found an ozone hole. Oh, no, it's going to keep growing and encompass the whole globe, and we're going to lose the ozone. And that's a protective layer against a lot of solar radiation and things like that. Now, what's really interesting is that something I learned, this is so cool. Did you know that there's these free particles that are flying around through space? They're shooting right through. You don't even feel it. And it is possible for a microchip that doesn't have the correct ceramic encasing, right? That would actually, kind of a shielded type deal that prevents these particles from passing through the microchips. Now, the thing is that all this data is stored with zeros and ones. And it is possible for these particles to pass through a counter within the microchip on the microscopic level and actually just change a 1 to a 0. And that can totally change what comes out on, say, a ballot tallying machine. Now, this is like kind of an extreme example, but what was found was that some of these ceramics actually had nuclear radioactive particles in the ceramic. So now they really test and evaluate, make sure that the ceramic they use doesn't have these radioactive particles. Because what happens is those radioactive particles will kick off these little other particles, and that can in fact change data that's in the chip. Okay? So they had an example. They had this one race, and everything seemed right on it except for one. And one of them had like 4,700 votes, and that was like about 4,000 too many of even what voted. And did that person cheat? No. Did somebody else cheat in the system? Nope. They had to go in and figure it out, and they figured out the problem. What caused that? A single digit to go from a 1 to a 0, and what caused it. Now, what's really interesting is this. Literally, all our microchips, everything is really susceptible to this type of event. And now it's one thing when it's a whole lot of everything in every county. No, that's man-made stuff. But what NASA does, when they're flying spacecraft up into space, and they have everything's like quadruple redundancy. There's 4 of everything. So you have the same program running on 4 different computers simultaneously, and it's all coordinated in such a way that if one of them is different, but the other 3 are the same, that one's dumped. It sticks to what's out of the 3, and then continues on. And if this one has a little misfire, that's kind of a check, because see, not all 4 of them have the likelihood to be affected by those particles flying around that we can't see. And it's really pretty fascinating that this actually happened, and they figured it out, measured it. They even figured this out when it actually had an effect on an airplane that went into a dive situation because it thought that it was actually climbing too steep, and it made a correction. And it all had to do with one little digit in a string of data that got changed by such a particle. And it happened, I think, twice in that flight. They had to do an emergency landing. Everybody was okay. A lot of people got injured because nothing's worse than all of a sudden your plane does into a negative, 0.8 G dive, and you're all of a sudden flying into the ceiling of the aircraft. So it's really kind of fascinating, the potential out there. But we know that our current elections here in Oregon are fraudulent. We know this. And we've had confessions by the Attorney General and our Secretary of State that, the systems are well connected to the internet. They have modems. They have all this stuff. There's no password protection. Yeah. Literally, none of our elections for the better part of 20 years have been legit. Not primaries, not general elections, none of it. So do you really think the people of Oregon voted yes on Measure 110, legalizing all these other drugs? The drugs that have attracted all kinds of people from out of state, right? Not to mention all the ones that were purposely shipped here from out of state. Oh, yeah, go to Oregon. You'll love it there. They have, hey, you can do drugs anytime you want. All drugs, yeah. And they have great programs. They give you money, and they even give you new syringes and all this great stuff about Oregon. And then they ship them here. Yeah, they all got to go back. And we, as a state, need to put that back on, a measure for the voters to vote again. Because I'm telling you now, I do not for a second believe that Oregonians voted to legalize heroin and cocaine and meth. I don't believe it. And by the way, just to let you know, since 110 was passed, the number of people who have died from drug use, overdose, whatever, has doubled. So they think this is going to be a good thing. Apparently, it's a bad thing. And then we have the issue of fentanyl in the state of Oregon, in the country. All this fentanyl comes from China. Now, why would China send so much fentanyl into America that the stuff that we've captured would pretty much kill every man, woman, and child in this country up to 50 times over and more? Why do we need that fentanyl? What else is it used in? And this is fundamentally what's killing a whole lot of people that are using extreme drugs. Okay? I mean, you even touch a little grain of fentanyl and you're pretty much dead. That's just how dangerous it is. So keep these things in mind, people. We're going to have to address them. We're going to have to fight. And I know as governor what I can do, and we can turn it on the dime pretty fast. I highly doubt the three main people have this even on their mind. I don't hear them talking about it at all. I don't hear them talking about the the Oregon China Council. So literally by them not even addressing it, if Drazan was against it, she could literally use that like a battle hammer on Betsy and Tina Kotek. But she doesn't. Why? Why is it that all of them mention all the issues, but don't offer any of the solutions yet? Surely they have some ideas, right? But they don't. They really don't. So we have to hold them accountable for that. So if you ever get a chance to ask any of those three people, ask them this: what is it about the Oregon China Council, and why do you support it? That's the question to ask. Not do they support it. Why do you support the Oregon China Council? Ask that question. Whoever you are, wherever you are, get that question in there somehow, some way. Please. All righty. So, Miss Carol, hey, there you go. Power control. Amanda, hey. Spotted Owl, yeah. Another excuse to create conflict. But understand, it's all cultural Marxism. It's all about division. Any way they can divide us, that's what they're set on doing. Don't fall for it. Rise above it, please. Yeah, Terry, I got to admit, I can't wait for this movie. It's been exhausting. This has been work. I could literally go to sleep right now. I'm that wiped out. But I soldier on. Let's see. Terry Williams. Can't wait till this movie's over. Give him help. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Couldn't help but laugh. Elongated pictures of Tina with fake Biden. Oh, gosh. Oh, and then Biden had to stop to get some ice cream. The man's like all but brain dead. I can't believe that is our president. I don't think we've ever had a decrepit, non-aware president in the history of this country. No, not at all. So, hey, Pat, let's see. She had such a sickening smile. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Flanders, Wilson's in the house. He's out of Facebook jail. Yes, congratulations. I hope your time went quickly. Glad to see you're out. Yeah, the wildfires. See, back in the day, everybody in the forest, in the woods, man, they saw a fire, a little curl of smoke somewhere, boom, they were on it. It's like picking up garbage and litter. When you go camping, and it may not be your garbage, somebody leaves a can here, or maybe a wrapper to something, you pick it up. It's what we do, right? That's what we did back in the 80s. I remember being on Boy Scouts and going all over the state, and everywhere we went, we'd camp, we'd set up our campfire, and it'd be also cooking fire, And once we were done, we just tear it apart, and then we move on to our next campsite. And we were very safe about it. People were good to go there. Every once in a while, somebody did something stupid, true, but with the lookouts, and not to mention all the computer stuff and the satellites we have for spotting fires all over the state pretty quick, well, sometimes you just have to let people put out the fire. And you know what? The guys that work in the forest, that the forest is their livelihood, those guys have way more to lose by burning down their forest. Okay? So we have to go back to that. And anytime the BLM, U.S. Forest Service, Oregon for anybody, or the governor tells you, oh, no, leave the fire alone. Let it burn. It's a natural process. It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. So, yeah, put it out. Just take care of yourself. You may want to call somebody, yeah, but start working on it yourself. And guess what? When they show up and it's just out, say, yeah, well, here's the area that it was in. It just went out. Sorry to bother you guys. Well, this fire's wet. Oh, it is? Oh, I must have had a freak rain shower. I didn't really notice. Huh. What do you know? Yeah, think about that. Ron Wyden's jurisdiction lies that Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. He does not control our land in Oregon. That is correct. He does not. However, it doesn't preclude him from putting in this act. This act was supposed to be for nationwide. Okay? That this guy is like the Crypt Keeper, guys. This guy needs to be buried. He's done. You know, we have so many people in our Congress, 70 plus years of age and older. We have one running for governor here, Betsy Johnson, 71. And it's like, listen, you've done your time. And here, even in the state of Oregon, it's like we're skipping over Generation X, really, right? And I keep hearing the whole, well, millennials, don't ever tell me, oh, millennials have a real good grip on everything and we can trust them to do all the right things. Oh, that's a really hard one to chew up and swallow. And I'm not saying all millennials are bad, but I'll tell you what, it's there's been an element there that they've been misled. They're literally trying to figure out which way is up. And the biggest thing that Generation X we can do is to get them through this. Every previous generation has helped the generations that follow. That's the normal deal. And we have that responsibility, downright an obligation, but it's still our responsibility. We're worried on the election Oregon and the morons that are getting promoted. You'll still have my vote, and everyone in my family has your bet. James, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And when you're talking to people and they're talking about splitting the vote, Betsy Johnson has already split the vote, okay? And she's taking votes away from Christine Drazan. That's a fact. She is not pulling in this big Democrat vote. Democrat voters, registered voters, will stick to the Democrat even if they don't like her. It's a loyalty deal for them. Okay. Republicans, they don't care. Republicans go, I don't like that candidate. I don't really like Betsy Johnson because she's really a Democrat. So you know what? I'm just not going to vote on that race. Next. That's what they do. They don't have that same loyalty mentality to just vote anyway. But there's plenty of people to just vote down ticket red. Anybody who tells you that, lick their nose or something. I mean, come on. You vote you. That's what you do. That's what we're all supposed to do. And we're not supposed to be overly influenced by anybody. If you're going through, look at all the candidates, know all the things you need to know, go, you know what, I like this one. And then someone says, oh, you're just going to split the vote if you vote for that one. You should vote for something that's going to matter, that's going to win. Well, let's see. If everybody can figure out and decide that, oh, this is the best candidate, and then everybody goes ahead and votes or writes them in, guess who wins? Your candidate. That's how it works. This mentality of the splitting of the vote, this mentality of taking away from somebody. Most of the votes I'm really going after are the non-affiliated voters, and they're made up of both Democrats and Republicans. That's who we're really going after. And if we can pull in half of them, we win. So whatever congressional district you're in, if you're willing to step up and make some phone calls, talk to people, visit people, anything like that at all, please let me know. Give me your email address, and I will send you that information so you can kind of get working on it. And I'll let you know who else is working that as well with their contact information. So if y'all can maybe coordinate a little bit, okay? All right. And we're still looking for Congressional District 1 and 3 to get some people started over there if at all possible. Um, hey, Miss Kimberly, nice to see you. Let's see, we got, yeah, I'm not sure which county you're in, Kimberly, but apparently your commissioners are spineless. They're Brownovich minions. uh, you're exposing Oregon's deep state conspirators, and Communist China Party controlling most of Oregon. So the swamp has all their devils, henchmen, attack, and attack. Everything you say and do. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Guys, listen. I painted the biggest target I possibly can on my chest and my back. And they're going to always be there coming after me. It's just how it's going to be. But we can fight it. We can overcome it. And for me, it's just going to be a matter of traveling Oregon some more and making sure people know who I am. Hey, Miss Tammy, good to see you. Here in McMinnville, the mayor gave up his position to the dyke that's pushing the trans wall. I think I heard about this. And there's another place where there's another LGBT mayor, unopposed. And once again, see, guys, it's really important for you to communicate with the county clerk's office to find out, okay, what elections are coming up, what offices are coming open, and being more public. See, they do publish these things, but nobody's looking there. Not everybody gets a newspaper. Okay. Not everybody goes to the county clerk's office website to look and see what's there. We got lives to do, right? But if you're retired, if you're not really too busy, maybe you can help us out by going and finding that out and posting it for your county, your city, just to get people. It's like, listen, these are coming up open. They're nonpartisan, so you don't have to publish whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. And this is the office. You have to submit this documentation by this date and whatever other cutoff dates they may have. And just put it out there to people. Bring it to me. I'll publish it. And we'll do it for every county, every city if necessary, whatever it takes, because this is how we get people to kind of get into gear to at least understand what they're dealing with. Because, there's certain jobs that actually pay money for, by the way, and they're the best kept secrets in the state. So, and a county commissioner, Douglas County makes like $92,000 a year. I know, it's insane. I'm not sure why they're so high, but it is. And those guys are truly fat, dumb, and happy here in Douglas County. Man, that's so sad. Let's see, why don't I run against her? Oh, I guess she's probably talking to James. And that's another thing, guys. Never, ever count yourself out. I don't care if you're retired. I understand people, hey, I'm retired, man. I'm just fishing and just doing my thing, and that's all I'm going to do. No. I think once you've achieved a certain level of life and experience, you have a certain amount of obligation to share that knowledge and experience and do what you can to help the people. You're going to get paid to do it, so that doesn't hurt, right? So think about it. Old school remains the best school. Hey, Terry, Jace's mom is in the house. I repeat, Jace's mom is in the house. Yeah, no. I got started right at 6:00. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, there's Miss Shanna. Yep. And I'm sure Tom is there probably. Good to see y'all. Mr. Ron, he says, question, did anyone get their picture taken with Biden? They're only charging $10,000 a pop. Oh, man. You know something? If I had the $10,000, like I'd walk in and go get my picture taken with Biden, I would try to pull the mask off. I would. Yeah. And then I'd be in all kinds of trouble. But, I'd be looking for those lines. I'd take every picture I could myself. And it's like, here's a train wreck. And I don't know, he probably smells like mothballs. I don't know, right? No on Measure 110. And so did all of us voted no on Measure 110. And yet somehow it passed, which was really crazy is this. It's like this many people voted in that ballot election, right? Yet only this many people voted on ballot measure 110. Here's what really voted. Here's how many were counted for that ballot measure. It's a huge difference. And then of those, like 51% voted in favor. 49 said no. So I'm getting the feeling that, what they did was they killed off a bunch of ballots just to make sure they had that 51%. Yes. So, and I do not believe Oregonians wanted that at all. And it needs to be put back on, ballot measure, whatever. Okay. See, I thought it was interesting they held this appearance in a very small facility. The media never showed the small crowd in the attendance. Yeah, no one's going. No one's voting for Biden. They didn't vote for him the last time, really. Oh, wow. Happy Valley's got some smoky air up there. Leaders, as they're told, 2 members of my family OD'd on fentanyl. Oh, my gosh, Jolene, I'm so sorry to hear that. And it doesn't take much. Even a law enforcement officer checking things, grabs a little bag of drugs or something, and it's a residue on the bag, and then they have to give him one of those overdose shots to save his life. That's a scary thing. As a police officer, there's a reason they put on rubber gloves before they approach a vehicle anymore. That's just how bad it is. And until we start really holding the guilty parties that are shipping so much fentanyl into this country, I still like to know where it's all going, because here's the thing. We capture a lot of it, and a lot of it gets through. Whatever we capture, there's at least probably that much getting through. To what end? There's only one end, is to kill people. And who are they trying to kill, and in what time frame? All right, Terry, no sweat. Sherry, I live on Highway 62, the highway to Crater Lake. We get a lot of trash on our property from the highway. Pick up the trash all the time and keep our stretch of the highway free of it. Thank you. Well, thank you for doing that. There's an element of youth. I know I've followed people that have dumped garbage on the side of the road, got their license plate number, photograph, called it in. And if I can catch up with them or talk to them, I go, you need to go pick up your garbage, because if you don't, they're going to be fining you a couple $1,000s, I believe, so, I gave them your license plate number. Oh, yeah. Yeah, think about that one. Let's see. Well, Shanna, tell me when. You tell me when, and I'll come. So let's work on a date and time. Thank you, Lorelei. Yeah, we got the jacket on. Forwent the tie today, though. Trying to make their own. Man, I'll tell you what. I don't know why. There's nothing good about fentanyl. Not for anybody. Let's see, Carol. Let's see. Every person I talked to asked why Brandon was here. He loves Oregon ice cream. The only reason he was here is to help Tina Kotek shore up her election campaign boat. That's kind of like dropping the Nimitz anchor into your rowboat down at waterline, and you just drop the anchor. Yeah, it's not going to help Tina one bit. Matter of fact, I think in the end it'll help maybe Betsy Johnson a little bit. But see, the truth's coming about all these people. And, the biggest truth really is the fact that all three of them support the Oregon China Council. They are all guilty. And to me, that is a single one disqualifier for anybody from being elected in Oregon to any office. Because the support of Agenda 2030, to me, qualifies under treason, because it actually seeks to undermine our form of government, our Constitution. It seeks to basically hand that over to another entity, saying, oh, you know what? Yeah, we're good. Why don't we do a one world government, new world order thing? Yeah, we're okay with that. Go ahead. No, we're not okay with that. And here are the people that are involved in the whole sustainable development. They're using the COVID-19 deal and the sustainable development goals, the 17 different goals they have, as a way to move us over to that point. So get smart and educate your people. I could not believe how many people I talked to today that had no clue that the Oregon China Council even existed. You feel me? Didn't even know it existed. And then once I told them what it was, they're like, oh my gosh, we can't be involved in that. I was like, it gets worse. Sorry. 3 gubernatorial candidates, almost the entire legislature. They all support the Oregon China Council. And none of them, even the ones that are not for it, do not speak out against it. Yeah, something to think about. Let's see. Well, hey, Laura, I'll tell you what, give me an email address. I'll send you the Drazen info report that we have, and it's detailed, and it has her voting record and everything. And she keeps talking all these big words about what she's going to change, and she's going to get rid of the New Green Deal. Well, when you're part of passing it, were you not smart enough to realize what you voted for? Or did you offer to vote for that so that they might vote for something you wanted, and then they didn't do that? Naive much? Yeah. Whenever a candidate pleads stupidity, and by the way, even Betsy Johnson, oh, have I made some stupid decisions? Oh, yeah, I made plenty of stupid decisions. You're 71 years old. I'd like to think, once you're a little longer in the tooth, stupid decisions come fewer and farther in between, right? Well, apparently not with Betsy. And what's funny is it's amazing how people will own something they did wrong, but not suffer any consequence because they feel that I made lots of mistakes. Oh, well, then you're okay. We can trust you. If you're not smart enough to read bills before you vote for them, if you're not smart enough to figure out what they're trying to do in the course of bringing bills, and if you have the audacity to claim, well, that's not really what I supported. Well, you voted for it. It's done. It's history. It matters, though, because it's what you did. You cannot plead stupid, and you cannot plead absent because you're supposed to be there. You're supposed to represent us. And we have to hold our elected people accountable. It's fundamental, but they've gotten away with so much for so long. So they're setting the processes. For example, when they talk about the issues, that, well, yeah, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to fix our education system. Oh, and I'm going to fix our forest problem. Oh, yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to reduce taxes? How are you going to make it easier for us to eat and live and survive in Oregon? Well, they don't want to tell you about all the new taxes coming next year. None of them are talking about it. They all know about them. They all do. And they're ignoring them because they don't want to show you their bare backside before November. Drazen talks about reduction of taxes and what have you a little bit. However, she stated a few months ago how she would not change anything on the tax base. Nothing. Not your income tax, not your property tax, not the sales tax you're paying, but there is other taxes that are coming into play, notably for universal health care for all Oregonians. Then they have the audacity to tell you, well, but look, all your medical services will be free. Yeah, sure they will. No, they're not, because you'll be paying up to another 15% in income tax to cover those expenses. I think you are better at spending your money on what you need than they are. And I really don't think I need any gynecological, medical, anything. No. Call me crazy, but I'm a man. I'm not a woman. And therefore, I don't need any type of care like that. But it's included because it's like Obamacare. So for a man to go in and get a pap smear, that should be a really confused doctor, to be honest. But in this day and age, doctors are like, I don't care. I'm getting paid. Let's see. All right, Laura, let's see. One thing I've been doing is writing these down as I get them. New 8. Okay, Miss Laura, what I'm guessing, I'm not really sure what it is you want. You could send me an instant message. Let me know what it is you want, because I have everything from the histories on the candidates, so you can go over that with people. And a lot of people, well, that we just need to pick someone that we think can win. Somebody has the most money. Listen, guys, grassroots campaign is just you and me talking to people, talking to fellow Oregonians and sharing the truth with them. That's all we do. We don't exaggerate it. We don't lie about it. We just tell the truth, things that we can verify, right? And by the way, it used to be you could go see all the legislators and everybody that endorsed the Oregon China Council on the website. It's disappeared. So I have somebody looking, trying to find it, see if there's a residual copy somewhere, but it's out there. and they no longer have it available on the website. Let's see. Mr. Paul has a question for me here. He says, when you become governor, are you going to repeal Brownstein's ruling on dangerous drugs to more than a ticket? Yeah. Listen, one of the things about addicts, I've actually learned this today, is that the only time they really got a chance to recover was when they did such a bad crime in the course of being on drugs that they ended up in jail. And while in jail, they had to get clean. They didn't have a choice. And that gave them the best opportunity for their recovery. And they would fall off that wagon a couple times before they finally got it right. And that's kind of like seems to be the process. Now, I don't make up the process. I would love people just go, ding, 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 bing. Okay, you are cured. But it's not like that. It doesn't work that way. So until we make, we have a huge prison that Betsy Johnson's moving homeless people into, her little project. Well, how about we put real prisoners in prisons? Because obviously we have the bed space, all right? And I really don't quite understand that. Please give us a list of the Constitutional Party candidates that aren't listed in the voter pamphlet. Oh, okay, very good. If you haven't seen, I have a couple different flyers. One is Battlefield Oregon, and I'm not sure where I have that copy offhand, but this one is kind of why Oregon is primed for the win. It has that one chart, but if you look on here, let's see, there we go. Write-in candidate, Paul Romero for governor, Michael Stetler for U.S. Senate, Thomas Zoll for Congressional District 4, Caleb Abel for House District 1. And the crazy part is 3 of these people are actually military, Navy and Army veterans, or Marine veteran. And Caleb is actually he is a project manager, which is really kind of the people we need in the legislature. So this is kind of who we're looking at. I don't know if you can do a screen grab or what, but that'll give you that. In the meantime, if you need me to, I can send you this and a whole lot more. We even have a file set up for like a mailer card. So if you want to go get some mailer cards printed out and send them to people that you know in the area, knock yourself out. I can send that to you as well. Let's see. List of the Constitutional Party. There we go. Okay. That's what. So Laura, I'll get you the histories. But don't worry, I'm going to send you a little bit extra because I'm going to send you my current updated copy of the contract with Oregon. And share it, spread it, put it out to anybody and everybody you can. It's straightforward. Anybody can understand it. And when I was at a Popeyes today, and I hadn't eaten all day, and I finally got out of that deal in Springfield about 2:30, I guess, close to 3:00. Anyway, headed home and stopped at Cottage Grove because they have a Popeyes chicken there, and had me some lunch real quick. And in talking with the manager there, I had told her, I said, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm from Louisiana. I love Popeyes chicken. It's a little taste of home, but it's chicken. And I like the spicy. I like the red beans and rice and the Cajun fries and all that stuff. And I always had to have root beer. I know what it is. Anyway, we were talking back and forth, and I said, oh, by the way, I gave her a stack of cards and said, I'm a write-in candidate for governor. And she said, really? Then she had all kinds of questions for me. So answered all her questions. She's like, oh my gosh. Says, well, do you have any other information? So I went out to the car, got a couple copies of the contract with Oregon, a couple copies of the Battlefield Oregon and some of these, and brought them in, and she distributed them to her people, which was awesome, And so that was kind of a really nice stop. You kind of have to be ready for that because you never know. Some people are receptive. Some people are just not going to receive anything. Some people have made a decision. They're going to stick to it no matter what because they don't want to feel by changing that they're wrong. But here's the thing. Nobody really knows how you vote. Nobody really knows unless you tell them, hey, I wrote in Paul Romero. It's the only way they're going to know. And then you might not have. Okay. What you actually vote on, no one's ever going to be able to confirm that one way or the other. That information is protected. But here's the kicker, heads up in Oregon, is that every one of your ballot with your name, John Smith, boom, they have a way of knowing that ballot came from you. Oh, yeah. They say, these ballots, they're totally anonymous. That's a lie in Oregon. Not true. They have a way of figuring exactly which ballot was yours. Scary, eh? They claim that they do this mail-in system like this for safety and security, so you have a private vote. No, they do this so they can cheat. It's easier to cheat. Make no mistake. They've been lying to us for a while. This isn't anything new. And also, Laura, in that email, look for the other. There's going to be a web address I'm going to put in there that you can go to, and you can look up everything about these candidates. Okay, I mean everything: their history, their education, different speeches they've done. Just everything is there. Their voting record, all the key votes, and it's amazing to me how many key votes Drazen had that literally kicked it to the Democrats. That's right. I'm telling you now, she is not the conservative that you think she is. She votes conservative like less than 65% of the time. That's an F grade, by the way, for a conservative. Betsy Johnson is worse. So the lesser of the three evils may fall to Christine Drazen. But like I said, is she beholden to you and I as a voter, as a general Oregonian? The answer is no. You go look at where she gets her money from, which includes, just like the other two, Big Pharma, Pfizer is in the mix. Yep. It's just true. And by the way, I'll also send you the links to those videos. There's kind of short little videos on each one, Drazen, Johnson, Kotek, and they're short, they're to the point. There's another one that goes through like where they're getting their money from, and it focuses on Big Pharma, Pfizer specifically for each one of them. Oh yeah, it's in Orastar. It's there for everybody to see and read. So just let you know, Rogue Spice, he put those together a couple months back. Matter of fact, even before he was doing our interviews, which was kind of wild, and he reposts them every once in a while. So we're just trying to keep them out there. Share these videos with people, guys. And I got a couple of short 30-second commercials we're putting together right now. Can't afford to put them on air yet. We'll see how that goes, but they're ready to go, and we'll be putting them out on social media everywhere for people to check out. 30 seconds isn't very long. I may bump some of them up to a minute, but that's what we got to do. Now, something I did want to address, the voter's guide. Y'all ever seen one of these, right? Okay, let me tell you about this. This is the Oregon Family Council General Election Voter's Guide, Ballot Measure and Candidate Edition. And this organization is great with what they do, what they report on. The downside is, even though I filled in the questionnaire for this, I'm not in here. And the reason I'm not in here is because I'm not on the ballot. So in a way, it neglects write-in candidates. Not to mention the fact, even for, I think, Oregon governor, let's see, did they actually put the other ones in anywhere else? It would appear not. Well, see, there's another little problem. Wow, that's most unfortunate. So in other words, the only three gubernatorial candidates, and by the way, there's more on the ballot. Libertarian Party, I think, has somebody. Constitutional Party of Oregon has a Republican, Donna Smith. And none of them are in here. Well, that's interesting. I'm guessing they probably didn't know to go do these. So anyway, I'm going to answer these questions real quick for everybody, and then we're going to wrap this up. The first one is life. Supports restricting abortion except for rape, incest, or the life of the mother. Now, here's been my philosophy. Yes, I kind of support this. However, not the way you think. See, this also implies that you would basically prevent anybody from ever getting abortion if they chose to. Now, as a Christian, you know where I stand. I don't really support abortion, period, right? But that's not my place. So the idea I have is a very different approach to that whole problem and how to address it. Not from a position as a Christian, but from a position as a tax-paying citizen of the state. And when you address it that way, I can eat like 99.9% of that elephant. That process will work. What everybody else is doing now does not. And the fact that we actually allow abortion literally up to birth is insane. And then there's the people that are pushing that you could abort that baby after it's born. Oh, that's really insane. This is beyond sick. So there you go. So the answer is really it's yes, but I have an actual detailed explanation, and I can even send that to you, Laura Newton. I need to write that down here too. That way, you know exactly where I stand on that, and what I would do to combat it, to fix it, to make it better. Okay. Next one was abortion funding opposes use of tax dollars for abortion. Yes, I do. Why? Because over 80% of Americans, and probably Oregonians, do not like the idea of them having to pay for somebody else's indiscretion. Just like they don't want to pay for somebody else wrecking their car. Just because you have a car, you didn't wreck yours, but they may want you to pay for theirs? No, not happening. Okay? The kicker supports the Oregon tax kicker. Now, Drazen and Johnson said yes. Now, I support the kicker, but I'm going to take it a step further. You know, Kotek does not support the kicker. They're all like, and to be honest, the legislature, including Drazen and Johnson, boy, they see all that, they go, ooh, look at all that money. We don't want to give the taxpayers back that over $1 billion. No, we can't do that. We got to find a way to spend some of it, maybe give them a little piece of it, not all of it like we're supposed to by law. So don't buy the BS. Here's why I do support the kicker, but at the same time, it shouldn't even exist. See, they're overtaxing us. They should not have that huge surplus in any way, shape, or form. Okay? They shouldn't even have that decision at that point. Do we give it back to the taxpayers or we just keep it for ourselves? They won't notice. There's nothing they can do. We control it anyway, right? Yeah, so there you go. Healthcare opposes state-funded healthcare for all. Of course, Kotek is no. She does support it. Drazen and Betsy Johnson, well, the problem I have is that these guys have actually supported OHA, closures, mask mandates, all this type of stuff. They've actually supported this stuff in different capacities. And for me, no. I do not support any kind of state-funded health care. I do not support them hijacking you for additional income tax to cover it and then have the audacity to tell you that your health care will be free. Yeah, no. Okay, school choice, support school choice. Of course. If the dollars from the state follow every student wherever they go, homeschool, charter school, private school, public school, all of a sudden, education becomes competitive again. And education improves, and students' abilities and preparedness for the future improves. That's what happens. But when you do what they've been doing here, you totally erode it through the public school system. I'm a product of Oregon public school system. I'm very happy with my education I received through public school in Oregon. Current graduates are not happy in any way, shape, or form with their education that they have as they've entered the workforce. Let's see. Education opposes lowering high school graduation standards. Never lower the standards. They should only go up. That's it. You do not bring the student population to the lowest common denominator. You bring all them up to the least common denominator. That's really the goal. That's the ambition. And if we improve on our teaching processes and stop doing actually do real teaching, that would be an improvement. We have too many people coasting. Well, here's your packet off the internet from Common Core. Do that. Well, I got a math book here. Why don't we go through the math? But no, we're doing this. We're doing Common Core math. We want to make you a complete total moron so you can not even balance a checkbook, much less get into engineering. And we're going to leave that to the Chinese. Yeah, that's how that's looking. Hope you appreciate my sarcasm. Police funding opposes defunding the police. Well, Kotek was unclear. And recently she's been known to have already thrown Kate Brown under the bus. That's just funny. Drazen, of course, said yes. So did Johnson. But the truth is, they've all voted to defund the police. They all got caught up in the whole woke movement and screwed the pooch in their voting. They voted to take away abilities of law enforcement in what they can use to address rioters, people that are actually not doing any kind of peaceful protestations. Yeah. So I guess they've all had a change of heart. Oops, I made a big mistake. I hope they don't notice. Yeah, that's right. It's in your voting record. The last one, Liberty supports religious exemptions. Okay, this is funny. Now, Kotek, no religious exemptions. By the way, Tina Kotek has a bachelor's degree in religious studies. I believe she also has a master's in the same general topic. Religious studies. Tina Kotek. Okay, am I missing something here? Is there a disconnect here? Is that somebody literally without an education she could apply to something that actually matters right now in what she does as a governor or as a legislator? I don't see it. And then we have Drazen. She says yes. She supports religious exemptions. Well, how about this? How about medical freedom? That would be a much better question. So I'm a little curious about what questions the Oregon Family Council is how they're who's coming up with the questions, because to me a lot of this stuff is kind of it's to the point mostly. It's a little fluff balls. It leaves kind of some ambiguity in there, but very simply for me, when it comes to religious exemptions, you shouldn't even need a religious exemption. If you just tell them no, thank you, that's it. I don't care if it's religious related. I don't care if it's your personal choice. I don't care if it's Friday the 13th and you just didn't feel lucky about getting the vaccine that day. I don't care. It doesn't matter. If you say no, the answer is no. You say yes for yourself, well, then knock yourself out. But right now, I'm not trusting Big Pharma. I'm not trusting any vaccine at this point. I don't know what's in those shots. I can't tell you definitively whether it can be trusted or not. And anything that's going into an mRNA vaccination, do not trust at all. They have shown us that even the COVID vaccines, they claimed that if you got this, your COVID or anybody else would not be transferable. And then in Europe, they admitted that they never tested for that. They lied. They lied to Europe. They lied to America. They lied to everybody. Why are they even still in business, right? Yeah, and I believe that was the Pfizer person. So keep that in mind too. And then Betsy Johnson was unclear about her position on sports religious exemptions. She says here, I would not support using religion as justification for discrimination in employment. Okay. However, I supported bipartisan legislation in 2005, 17 years ago, that I thought struck the proper balance between religious liberties and protected individual rights. I got news for you, Betsy. Religious liberty, individual rights, they are synonymous. They are the same. One's broken down a little further, but they're the same. And yet you're trying to draw a distinction between the two. No, there is no distinction. They basically fall in the same category. Your freedoms, your liberties, your sovereignty. And anybody that pushes a vaccine on anybody else, that is coercion. And that is a violation of the Nuremberg Code and U.S. Code Title 18 something, actual federal law. So literally right now throughout America and Oregon, we have businesses, we have state government, we have everybody in violation of more laws than we even realized we had. And this is what we got? These are like the worst choices we possibly have. Now, see, Drazen said yes to everything across the board, which fundamentally I have too. But with her responses, again, based on that and also based on her voting record, they are not lining up exactly. I got a problem with that. To me, it's disingenuous. She's trying to sound like what we want to hear. Guys, I have been saying the same thing to all of you for 2 years. Answer the questions. The only thing different is I got a little more information to color it in for you. But beyond that, no, we've stood the same ground the entire time, have never deviated from it. And the only way I could deviate from anything in any of my positions is if something was so radically different that it would absolutely necessitate a serious change. And I really don't see that coming. So, but if you can ever get yourself a copy of that voter's guide, And it covers a lot of ground with a lot of different people, county commissioners, the whole 9 yards. And what's cool is normally county commissioners, it's a nonpartisan type deal. However, there's actual Democrat, Republican, Independent party affiliations connected to all these names. I like that because the fact is this, guys, even a county commissioner, do you really think they're nonpartisan? No. Everybody's partisan to a certain degree. Now, for me, what am I partisan to? I'm partisan to the Constitution, which does not include the Constitution Party of Oregon. At this point, not even Libertarian Party, guys, because even they have a little different slant and acceptance of free drugs for everybody, right? I can't support that, guys. I know you're trying to claim, well, we're trying to follow the Constitution. No, you're not. Because, see, when you create bigger problems for taxpayers and you put that burden on them, that's a fundamental violation of their constitutional rights. You have to put it in perspective. Anytime anything you do is encroaching on any group of people on behalf of another group of people, you have violated the Constitution. It's a simple thing, really. And yet, they don't really want to look at it that way. So there's your education on all that. Let's see what else we got over here. Okay. Well, this is something I haven't really looked into my voter's guide too much. Constitution Party candidates, they aren't listed in voter. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the Constitution Party candidates, none of them made it into the voter's guide. This is funny. Here's the thing: a lot of them have to pay anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 to be in the voter's guide, right? And apparently, they didn't generate the funds they needed for that. Number two, each candidate has the option of going out and securing a number of signatures. And I secured all my signatures and turned them in, but they refused to accept them. The last day I was able to turn them in, and it was just some of the signatures. We had most of them already turned in, but needed a few extra ones and got those turned in, and they refused to accept them, which violated my civil rights. And we have that on video. That's right. So all things in time. So that's funny. So literally anybody that they made an effort to, they basically sidelined all of us and they put in a bunch of Republican nominees. They don't have a snowball's chance in hell, not in any of their races. And actually myself and the people that went to bat to go secure all these signatures so we could be in the voter's guide for free, all those people totally bypassed that to actually do the illegal actions they did. Congratulations, you goobers. Oh, man. See, I need what they voted on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got you there. All right. Let's see. Yes, parents never voted by mail. They showed up in person. Awesome. Kotek's money backer is Planned Parenthood. Yes, Planned Parenthood. I think Betsy Johnson's had a connection with them as well. Now, that's the only thing Drazen has going for her. She doesn't have a direct connection to Planned Parenthood. But the fact that she's gone along with certain things in that regard, guys, one thing I have a problem with is all these different debates they have. They're not really cornering the candidates on the serious issues, the real questions that need to be asked. Sometimes they have some good questions, but for the most part, it's fluff. They're softballs, and it's easy for them to dance around them. And every once in a while, you'll hear one of them kind of bite one of the others. Or you'll hold Betsy Johnson, well, I took over this prison that wasn't being used, and we've got all kinds of homeless going into that system now, that project. And yeah, okay. Tell you what, Betsy, how about this, Betsy? How about all the imported homeless people that came from all these other states that have overloaded our system? How about we identify them and we send them back? And then we send the bill to their governor, right? Okay, there you go. All right, next step is we go back through, and if anybody left in the homeless crowd is taking advantage of current homeless benefits, if you can't pass E-Verify, which confirms that you are an American citizen with a Social Security number, guess what? Boing! You're out of here. Yeah, that's right. We're going to call up ICE. We're going to drop you off wherever. We got to drop you off, but they're going to come pick you up one way or another. But you're going to be out of the system. And there's no 3-week reprieve or, okay, we'll give you 3 weeks to get your affairs in order. And no, we're going to cut it off right then and there. Why? You're already imposing on the system that you have no business imposing on. And the people that have allowed this to happen, you have to be addressed as well. Oh yeah, they're going to have to be addressed. So then that leaves you with our actual homeless population. And they are veterans. Heck, there's even attorneys. I know, go figure. It happens. There are people that have drug problems, people that have mental health issues. And OHA, that's 5 big-time $500,000 a year payrolled physical or psychiatrists or something. What do those guys actually do? They're obviously not doing anything for mental health in Oregon. Do they just get paid to golf? I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. But then the thing that most people don't realize is that we actually have homeless programs that helps them get into a housing, get them a job, get them off drugs. All that stuff is already there. We're already paying for it. The problem is it's overloaded. And a lot of it's overloaded with illegals. It seems that illegals get priority over American citizens. Well, surely that can't be right? But it is. That is the reality. That is the truth. And for all of us, we keep getting we keep getting fed horse biscuits, and they keep telling us that no, the piss on our boots is not rain. And it's piss. It's like a horse on a flat rock. Oh yeah. Thank you, Carol. All right, we're at 7:35, and I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Keep spreading the word. Spread the videos. If you want me to send you an email with all that stuff on there, I will do so. Use it at your leisure. Make the effort. And when you call people on the phone, if you make that effort, go that extra mile. When you call them, just say, listen, my name is so-and-so. I live right here in your congressional district. And I just want to let you know that you have another option that is not going to be on your ballot for governor. His name is Paul Romero. Spell it for him. Here's his website. Please go read his contract with Oregon and consider him, because he is not he's not the other 3 primary candidates. He actually stands to fight for us, and that's important. And today, like I said, I shared that that little inspirational deal that my grandfather gave me a long time ago from Theodore Roosevelt, and I shared that with people. And my challenge to them was that, listen, you can do something. Everybody can do something. All right. It may not be a candidate. It may not be running a major campaign. It may not be generating. Maybe it is generating memes or short TikTok videos or something else to promote a candidate and help getting that out throughout social media. Whatever it is that you can do, you can do. And every one of us needs to get involved. All of Oregon needs to be involved with all of Oregon in this capacity. And ultimately, remember this, guys. We all should have the ability to exercise our freedoms and our liberties insofar as they do not encroach or infringe on others. That's the deal. That's how it works. And as long as we do that, we're in bounds. And so for me as a governor, I was asked, well, because you're a Christian, you're going to favor Christians. No, I have to apply the wisdom of Solomon, right? I have to apply the Constitution to all things. If it's within the boundaries of the Constitution, okay. If it's not okay. And I got to explain why. And there could be situations where it may be within the boundaries of the Constitution, but not something that will help the populace. If it's only to help a certain group of people, there's a little problem there. But for example, I know that on our coastline, we have a bunch of docks and what have you, even Coos Bay, that need to be repaired and updated. We should have an awesome fishing fleet coming out of Coos Bay. But because of issues with the docks and what have you, it becomes limited. Well, that's a problem. These are things and infrastructure issues that we do need to address. And with the way they waste money on the liberal BS, well, it's time to shut those spigots off and put that money where it's going to do the most good. If not, put it back in the pockets of Oregonians. So remember that. The goal is going to be to eliminate income tax, to eliminate property tax, to go with a sales tax that is fair to everybody. Best part about that is even people pass it through, we'll be paying that. Okay? We can make it fair to everybody, but especially Oregonians. And also, Oregon needs energy independence. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it some more. We have the ability to produce our own oil, our own gasoline, our own natural gas from Eastern Oregon and make Oregon energy independent from the continental United States. We should do this. And with the oil that we can pump out of Eastern Oregon, we do the same thing we do in Alaska. Alaskans benefit by a check at the end of the year. That sound good to you? Imagine paying $1 for a gallon of gas. Wow. Yeah, I'd like that. The cool part is if you're coming from out of state, if the tags on your vehicle are out of state, guess what? You get to pay that $1.50 a gallon for gas. That will be your tax coming through the state. But if you got those Oregon tags on there, you get to pay $1. That'd be a pretty good deal, right? I think so. I think everybody go for that. And then the potential of getting an extra paycheck before Christmas from the oil allotment. What a deal. Then the other issue is going to be building a new refinery in Oregon. We should have our own refinery. The fact they keep limiting it to only 5 refineries around the continental United States, we need our own. We have every right to it, and the federal government cannot stop us from it. So keep this in mind. And with what I know about the oil industry and how that stuff works, we can do it. It's really not hard. And we can make it efficient. We can make it tight, make it clean. It'll work for everybody, even the supposed fake environmentalists. And by the way, I firmly believe in clean air and clean water and all that. In Oregon, we have the lowest carbon footprint of any country in the world. Just shy of some, well, I don't think even Hawaii has much of a footprint, but and most of that comes from a volcano. But here in Oregon, we don't, but they act like we are the biggest pollution contributors in the world. The cap and trade that was implemented by executive order by Kate Brown, guess what, guys? It's gone away. Day one, minute one, that'll be the first thing that goes away here in Oregon. The next thing is going to be a nullification of the New Green Deal that was passed by the legislature. Because let me tell you what, Oregon didn't vote on that. And the legislature did not represent Oregon in passing that. I will put that question to the people. Do you want the New Green Deal or not? Here's what it means if you want it. Here's what it means if you don't. Go. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Oregon's going to say, oh, heck no, we don't want that. And that will be done. So, guys, we just do what we can. And we never give up. We don't surrender. And just because somebody tells you you should quit. I had a gal that's a cancer survivor and has actually had relapses in cancer, and she's never given up. Never has. Yet had the audacity to tell me to give up. Yeah, I got a problem with that. And then they have the audacity to tell everybody else, oh, never give up. Always keep going. There's always a way. See, those people you can't trust. Because, see, for them, it's never give up when it's convenient, when they think it's easy to win. The fact is, sometimes you got to roll the dice. Sometimes you have to give it the good old college try. But no matter what you do, you have to carry that action on in perpetuity. You cannot quit ever. And for me, not going to quit. Not going to give up. All right. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. You have a great night. God bless each and every one of you and your families. And keep the rubber side down. And if the women don't find you handsome, they better find you handy, right? All right. Y'all have a great night. Good night.